What's up, guys? This is Kasim. So let's quickly break down the trade we took on USTEC on this month of July last week. It was actually the only trade we took for last week, and it was a 3 hour trade. Um, one of the things I learned in this trade, this was the setup actually, and our take profit was here. So this was when I shared the trade with my students. You can see it here. And this was when the trade hit final take profit. If you pay attention to this and look at this very well, you can see that here was our liquidity, and this was the high that was swept. Now, price almost took away everything. In fact, price like took away this protected high, because here is our protected high. Like for you guys that are just watching this video, this is my entry model. So your stop loss should always be above, a little bit above this protected high, few pips. And that is the rule pertaining this. And imagine if my stop loss was so tight, I would have been taken away from this particular trade, and the trade will still play out. You could see how the trade still dumped and hit final target. You can see when the trade, this was when the trade hit final target. You can see it here. So one of the things I always tell my students is your trade has not hit stop loss until it hits stop loss. Don't go about trying to close that trade to cut down losses if technically you have not seen anything wrong with that trade or anything that changed on that trade. If you're sure of what you have placed, you're sure of what you're trading, allow the market to do her thing. So let's quickly break down this trade I took on USTEC. First of all, our entry was on the 4 hours time frame, and we had structure here, break here, then we had structure, break here. Then we had structure break to the upside here, which was the first break to the upside. Then we had the second break to the upside. But then again, price step breaking to the downside. We had structure break to the downside 1, and we had structure break to the downside 2. So we have price change to the structure. So we have this guy here as a high that was swept. We have this guy as the protected high, and we have this guy as our liquidator. So our entry was on the 4 hours time frame. Now looking at this, all you need to do, what the next thing you'll be asking is my daily and my weekly and my monthly, what's up? You understand? What is the story is actually telling? Let me remove all this. So we took the trade here. It was a 3 hour trade. So let's just mark out this level. So let's quickly head down to the monthly time frame to see what's up. On the monthly time frame on USTEC, you can see that USTEC is clearly what? Bullish, without you marking out anything. But then again, there was something that happened. The last month candlestick is signaling what? Weakness. That sellers are currently in charge. Because you all know that price cannot keep on buying straight. No, price will always go up, retrace to a certain level. Price will always move like this most times. Price will also retrace. And again, there are some imbalance price need to feel, though not all the time price feels imbalance or fair value gap as the case may be before it moves. But here you can see that there is an imbalance, because here you can see that this was the last break of structure, and this is the low that caused the push to the upside. So we have an imbalance here, and we also have an imbalance here. So with this candle that form, we're anticipating price to at least get to this what? Imbalance before buyers take charge, or this particular imbalance here. You understand? So that was another thing that gave me the confidence. Now coming to the weekly time frame, it will now start making sense on the weekly time frame. On the weekly time frame, this was where we took the trade. This was where we took the trade. Now, funny enough, I always tell this, you having at least the basic knowledge of candlestick is going to help you. Candlesticks most times tell some story. You can see here, if you watch the first video I posted before this, the volatility 10, you can see a similar candlestick we had here on the weekly time frame was what we had on the monthly time frame on volatility 10 sell. So you can see this candlestick is already saying sell. This was where we took the trade. Get this was where we took the trade here. And this candlestick was already signaling sell. Now, coming to the weekly, we can see a break here. It's just one break yet. Two break has not happened, but then again, we can see rejection happening on this key level. And with this candlestick that formed, I was already like, yes, I like the reaction that closed out for what? With the way this candlestick closed. Now, coming to the daily time frame, that is where it makes more sense, and you can see the chart tells a whole lot of story. So on the daily, I had price create this particular high. There was this break of structure to the upside. Now, if you look very well, you're going to see a break of structure also here. Yes. Now, price broke to the downside. And again, still what? Created a low to the downside. So what do we have now? We now have this guy as what? Our protected what? High. And we have this guy as the high that was swept. And we have this guy as what? Our liquidity. This guy is our liquidity. So price swept this liquidity, and the final take profit for this trade is what? Here. I'm expecting price to take away this guy. That is the final take profit. Now, when price swept this guy, price started creating what we call some internal structure. You understand? So let's pay attention. Price swept, started creating some internal structure. See, price created this break to the downside, gave this liquidity guy here. This is another break to the downside. On some brokers, this high was higher than this guy here. So here was liquidity. Price now took away this liquidity. So when price took away this liquidity, price was sold and gave this particular break of structure to the downside. So we had this guy as the lower low, lower high, lower low. Remember, everything inside here are all what? Internal structure. But yes, of course, you can trade internal structure. Just know how or what is happening at the external structure of that particular pair, and where price from this liquidity that is swept, and we know that price is heading to this guy. You understand? Now, one of the things that happened on this trade that we now had a break of structure here. Remember, it was at this level I took the sell setup. Using your fib retracement tool, placing it from here to here, our setup was formed on the what? Premium zone of this daily what? Time frame. So our setup was on the 4 hours time frame. Now let's go to the 4 hours time frame so you can see where it makes a whole lot of sense. Coming to the 4 hours time frame, can you see this was where we marked and see how our setup formed, and that was how we took this particular trade, and I and my students made money from this trade. Now I want to show you something. Though price doesn't look as if it's going to come back again, on the daily time frame we still have another opportunity on the daily time frame, which is I had this for this week, though I don't see price coming back because already today is Thursday and the week is closing. I had this guy as my liquidity, and I have this guy as my protected high, and this guy as the high that was shown. So I was expecting price to do this. When price was coming up, I wish price came up to this level for me to sell again. But I guess price didn't have that momentum to do that because it's still reacting off this fair value gap, and you can see it's dumping and might clear this low and take away this overall external final take profit here. So one of the things I would like you to take away from this particular video is your trade has not hit stop loss till it hits stop loss. Stop closing out your trade prematurely if technically your setup has not been invalidated. Once your setup is still valid, and you're not seeing anything wrong with your trade, allow the market do her thing, because price can be very close to your stop loss and still reverse to go to your direction. Price can be very close to your take profit and still reverse to go back to your entry, and maybe take you out and still go to your direction, whichever way. Always allow the market to do her thing. Once again, if you enjoyed this video and you like to see more video like this, all you need to do is follow us on YouTube, Trade with Cassie. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Trade with Cassie. Thanks